All right, good evening, everyone. So tonight we are welcoming Gloria on the call. She's going to lead the call and she's going to talk about meal prep tips. Gloria has participated in her groups for a few years now, and really in the past year has had incredible success in her personal journey. And a lot of it she felt was due to nutrition, like the really factoring the nutrition. And I'm not going to speak more than that, but just she felt the thing that was important for her own journey and she wanted to share about was meal prep tips. And so I'll let her talk more on that and give a little bit more about her personal background and journey, and then take it on from there. So
Okay. All right. Hi guys. So I started with Beachbody years ago, but never really took it seriously until May of 2018. So that's when To Be Mindset came out, and it was just the perfect meal plan for me. It was a plan, but it wasn't a plan. It gave me basic guidelines to follow. It told you how to fuel your body in a way that would work at each meal, and why it was important to eat certain things at certain meals. And like, for example, you don't have carbs at night, and she tells you that you don't need that because carbs are an energy source that you don't typically need at night before you go to bed. And it really made a lot of sense to me, and it seemed easy to do. I just instantly clicked with it. So that really started my journey. And over the last year and a few months, year and 5 months or so, I've lost 67-ish pounds. I did 30 of that only on nutrition, only making changes on my nutrition. I didn't exercise in the beginning. I really needed to take things slow for myself, just to kind of ease into all the transitions that, just dealing with the nutrition alone, was that I was facing with that. So meal prep was something that was definitely a struggle in the beginning. It took time to ease into. It took time to just really get a feel for what worked for me when I wanted to do it. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I found helpful over the last year and a half to kind of help me on my journey, because I know how overwhelming the meal prep can be in the beginning. I think just the idea that you would have to set aside an afternoon or two a week to doing your meal prep scares a lot of people away. And I don't really think that's necessary. And I wanted to tell you why, and to just, like I said, just give you some tips that I have learned over the last year.
Gloria, can I actually ask you two quick questions? I think it's
Yeah.
important in your journey. One is about your personality, and that we have discovered and talked about a little bit in our gym, because I think it impacts the journey. Like, what could be getting someone hung up? And that is, what is your personality and what motivates you? So the 4 tendencies. What's your tendency?
So I'm a rebel. I don't like to be told what to do. It will instantly make me run the opposite way. Right. And even sometimes holding myself accountable can be challenging. So knowing that, I know now I have to push through that. And it's just easier to understand what may be an obstacle for myself, knowing that, okay, I don't like to be told what to do. I don't want somebody else to hold me accountable. I need to take that on myself. So I think that's been important for me.
So being a rebel, then what changed? What caused you to decide a year ago that it was time to make a change?
It was just how I felt about myself. I was so unhappy with how I felt people perceived me. I was just uncomfortable in every aspect of my life. And it was just, it really came down to me just saying to myself that, okay, I need to make this change for me. I need to feel good about myself. I need to love who I am now and love myself at every step of the way to, wherever this journey was going to lead me. So does that make sense?
No, it does. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that we don't talk about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that sometimes narrowing that down, like what's our motivator, and it's different for everybody. And some
Yeah.
of it,
What's your why? Mm-hmm.
yeah, because then we can figure out like what works. Like, is 2B mindset a good option, or is it ultimate portion fix, or is it a combination sometimes, depending on where you are in your journey. And you
Right.
did touch a little bit on that with 2B mindset, and I think that's important to note, is that there is the flexibility and not as much
Mm-hmm.
of a strict, like if
Mm-hmm.
you're not a rule follower like I am,
Mm-hmm.
I like that structure, which I still very much love 2B mindset because it still gave me guidelines that I could work within. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that where you were, that gave you the freedom, it sounds
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
to take it into
I
your own
felt
hands.
like it was my choice, and nobody was, yes, she gave me the guidelines, but I wasn't being told what I had to do. And that is a struggle for me even now with the container system. I find I have the best results with that because it is a little more structured. Um, but it almost makes me mad that I have to put things in a container. It's just how my personality works. I just know that it's like, well, you know what? I don't want to have a blue today. And I know that it's important. I know I need to. But it's just part of that. It's just part of that rebel side. So,
All right.
mhm.
Well, sorry for the detour, but I
Mhm.
think it's important. And then can also lead into meal prep and the fact that meal prep can be different. It doesn't have
Yes.
to look the
Hmm.
same for everyone. So I'm excited to hear what you have to share about it, and let me know when you need something pulled up.
Okay. So if you want to go ahead and pull it up, I think actually, it was funny because it's very kind of step by step of some of the different things that we've done. So this is nice. This is right on the Beachbody blog, and it just talks about meal prep, the steps to it, why it's important. Um, I love batch cooking. I find that if I do my meals in batches, that's what works best for me. So, for example, this past weekend, I did a double batch of chili. I did a double batch of acorns or butternut stuffed squash. And we had one of those meals during the week, and then the other meals are frozen. So they're in the freezers. They're backup meals for sometime in the next month or so where I don't have time to meal prep, or I forget to take something out for dinner, or just if we have a really busy week, it's just something that's already done. The batch cooking really is my go-to. I do try to set aside Sunday afternoons typically to do my prepping for the week. So I would suggest you pick a day of the week or an afternoon or two that works well for you. You don't have to do all of your meal prep in one afternoon or one day. You can break it up into different days. And I do suggest you have some general ideas and some things that are flexible. So, for example, last week I picked one meal to have for lunch every day this week. So I picked antipasta salad. So it's just romaine lettuce, it's deli meat, and you select deli meat that works well for your meal plan. So it's typically going to be something that's like antibiotic free. And then it had salad dressing on it, and I think it was roasted red peppers, and what else did I put in there? Or there was something else that was in there. But I chopped up all of my lettuce, put that in a big container, and then I had all of my meat cut up for the week, and that's all in containers in the fridge. So my lunch was simple. It was done. I didn't have to worry about that all week long. I pick simple snacks. We've talked about that before in the group, just setting aside vegetables. So when you come home from your shopping, you just slice everything up. That's all done for you. I do batches of egg cups. And again, those freeze pretty well for the most part. Is if you have a lot of vegetables in them, sometimes they can get a little bit runny. But for the most part, they freeze really well. And I doubled those, so I have like a dozen and a half of egg cups in the freezer for another week. And I did the carrot cake oatmeal cupcakes, and I doubled those as well and froze half of them. So I just really try to think ahead and just keep the meals as simple as possible. We did hamburgers this week for dinner. I just don't eat the rolls. I add on extra lettuce and some other vegetables. And if my family wants rolls, they eat them. And then I just serve it with a side of vegetables. So it could be frozen broccoli, it could be cauliflower. We did marinated chicken and roasted vegetables this week. So I roasted up a huge pan of vegetables that I had. And then we heated them up the next day for dinner. And then we had the marinated chicken left over for lunches from my husband and the vegetables. We did tacos. And then I made something a little more complicated for Sunday dinner, but that's just because I had time for it. I utilize the frozen vegetables all the time. They're easy. You could use those for lunches. You can prep extra chicken and then just add the side of vegetables. So it's really, in the very beginning, I was picking all of these different meals from Beachbody, from the Fixate cookbooks, from Alana's cookbook that came with my 2B mindset. I felt like I had to do all of the meals that they had on there, and it was stressing me out. I had 5 or 6 different meals planned for the week. I had all of these different lunches and then breakfast, and it was too much for me. I had to scale back, and I just had to find an easier way to do it. And like I said, the batch cooking has been helpful for me, and then just simplifying it. Dinner doesn't have to be anything complicated. Just pick a protein that you like, pick some vegetables, and you really have a meal. You could do quinoa on the side. A lot of those come packaged already, and there's some really great options. And I think focusing on the hardest meal for you. So if you tend to stop in the morning because you're pressed for time for breakfast, then meal prep that one. If you eat out a lot for lunch, or you find you're really busy during the day with the kids, then meal prep that one for you. So you know that you don't have to think about it. So I found that working in baby steps was a key to my success and not getting overwhelmed with it. So what are you showing us, Jane, here? Oh, yeah. Yep. So this is nice because it just breaks it down for you. It's really easy.
Yeah, it's just like the steps for meal prep, which I think this one is in our group. If not, I will link it to this video and also in our group in the folder for meal prep. Yeah. There's also there's a plethora of resources. Now, like Gloria said, don't get overwhelmed. I think we can get this overwhelmed, analysis paralysis. There's so many things, and where do I start? There's all these meal plans, and I think just the meal plans are great, but you also need to look through the meal plans. And sometimes if they're all new recipes to you, that actually may be harder than just looking at your containers for the day. And that's where what helped me with Ultimate Portion Fix, or even the 2B mindset, because I did a similar approach with 2B mindset, but Time Nutrition was similar in the sense that it tells you what meals, and not meals, but what containers to eat at each time during the day. So I was okay, I need a red, I need a yellow, I need a blue, whatever at breakfast. Okay, I'm going to eat chicken, I'm going to eat sweet potatoes, and I'm going to eat nuts, or whatever it was the pairing. And I went that bare bones. I didn't really delve into what recipe is going to fit that meal. I went, what food is going to fit in that container? And then I worried about more elaborate meals later.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are points where like your family's factored into it. So like dinner was the time of day where it's like, okay, I had to worry about what my husband would want to eat. So some of those, I would start with dinner and then backtrack the rest of the day. So dinner would be my most complicated meal. And then I would be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, the rest of the meals that I need, these containers, or I will throw this together for my lunch or whatever it was. But I would work backwards from dinner. And there was something I was going to
Yeah.
ask you about. Oh, to be mindset. So I think this is important to note because it is a very big part of to be mindset is what do you need to do differently with to be mindset that you may not have to do with ultimate portion fix? What's part of the program that you intentionally had to do every single day?
Oh, I had to track. You have to track everything. Um, because you don't know if you're, because there's so much flexibility in it. There's no portion control really in to be mindset. So if you don't track what you're eating, you don't know how that's affecting you, because you'll get to the end of the week and be like, oh my gosh, I gained 5 pounds, but I ate salads and I ate egg cups and I don't understand why I've gained weight. So it was really important to make sure that you were tracking, and tracking can be as simple as taking a picture of your food.
Mhm.
So for me, that was another thing. It was like, oh my gosh, I have to track all my food, and I have to, write this down and write that down and put it in my app and just take pictures of it. So, maybe at the end of the day, when you have 5 or 10 minutes to put it in your tracker and you want to, you can do that. But I used photos a lot too,
That's
just
a
so I
I
I could refer back to it and say, oh yeah, those extra pieces of candy, that's what I ate. So
and that's awesome. I actually
mhm,
didn't think. I mean, I take pictures for other,
mhm,
sharing and purposes, but that's actually a really good tip because in the moment, I may not have time to sit down to
right,
write, um, but to
mhm,
be able to use that to refer back. And you don't need like I think I put it away. I'm trying to get organized. Um, their tracker for to be mindset is really nice, but you can use a notebook and
mhm,
like you said, sitting down at the end of the day and just writing in a notebook what you've eaten.
yep,
I think it's important with ultimate portion fix because I think sometimes we do sneak things
mhm,
throughout the day unintentionally. But it is vital with to be mindset since it is the way I've been looking at it lately. It's great for those who are questioners, those who want to know the why behind everything, and those who are rebels in particular.
mhm,
It works for other personalities, but I think those who don't want a strict guideline,
mhm.
there's more freedom. But then with that, you have to have more ownership of
You,
your
yeah,
journey. Um,
absolutely. Mhm,
but they both of those programs, both Ultimate Portion Fix and 2E Mindset, I think Ultimate Portion Fix has a little bit more. She talks about more approaches
mhm,
specifically in the videos about it. But if you don't have either two, going to the Beachbody blog, typing in meal prep, not only will you come up with a lot of the meal plans we do have in the group that are linked, but she talks about, I just scroll down, like 15 healthy lunches, how to meal prep on
mhm,
a budget, 7 meal prep tips for clean week. Even though it says like clean week or body beast, as long as you're in the calorie bracket that you should be in, it's fine. And even if you wanted to use that meal plan and just like tailor it to your containers, just, cut out
mhm,
ones if you need to or bulk up if you need to. She talks about, easy meal prep for bulking, like batch meal prep.
mhm,
There's a no cook. So if you're pressed on time, this might be a really good meal prep or meal plan for you.
mhm.
Um, Containers and bags. So if you're feeling stuck, not only can you ask in the group, but there are resources available to you through here, which are awesome.
Mhm.
Anyone that's on the call want to ask Gloria questions or I questions? or share your own tips that have helped you in your journey. We'd love to hear those as well. Darcy, do you got anything for us?
No, not really. I mean, it was a struggle in the beginning, but the more you do, the easier it gets.
Mm-hmm.
What have you found helpful for you when you approach meal prep? What has made it easier?
What's made it easier for me is just kind of doing just making the chicken and then making the salads, and then just making, either putting the chicken in my salad or having it on the side with quinoa for lunches. And then I've done an egg casserole with veggies in it, or egg cups with the veggies in it. Just simple stuff, but it's still, I was following the ultimate portion fix. I'm looking into the 2B mindset now, but just doing kind of basic foods that fit in the containers. Because I tried doing the meals and that was stressing me out really bad. And I try to just do one meal a week like that. And then, like Gloria said, we'll have burgers or tacos, and I kind of just do tweak mine a little bit than what my husband and kids have.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome, because I think I learned that too. Like, we can have the same foods relatively, like it can look the same, doesn't feel like we're being left out by choosing foods that fuel than like things that we're traditionally used to. And I think that's what it is. We're shifting our mindset of food is to fuel. Like, food is not for emotion. Like, it's not like, food is highly emotional. Like, all decisions and habits are emotional. And I think realizing, like, why am I so stuck on this? Like, we used to have pizza Fridays. Like, that was growing up, that was our thing. My husband's very used to eating out. So breaking that habit for him, he was tolerant, but every time I'm like, oh, I'm tired, he's like, let's get takeout. And I'm like, no, like, I know that's going to derail, like, and I'm not going to eat things that I want to eat. So it's really just, finding a rhythm and simple. Like, I really do think it's simplifying things. Like, yeah, have burgers. My family, a big thing that I thought about the other day, like, my husband likes white potatoes. He doesn't love sweet potatoes. I prefer to eat the sweet potatoes for a couple different reasons, but they definitely are higher on the list as far as nutrients. So I try to go for that. But what I'll do, they cook the same in the oven. It's easy to throw a tray of each. And then I might have a couple of the white potato bites, like the pieces, but I'm going to fill my container with sweet potatoes. And it gives me an opportunity where my girls, it's the reverse. They get the majority of the white potatoes or the red potatoes, and then I give them one or two sweet potatoes. May not eat it, but they're given the opportunity where they're getting a taste of something new, and then they can fill their plate with the foods that they're used to. And the same with like pasta and zoodles. Sometimes I'll do that. It's a little more complicated meal, but I'll give them a plate of, whole grain pasta with a small portion of zoodles, so they're getting zucchini, taste. And it's not like a completely different meal to them. So there are ways to kind of slowly start integrating more fruits and vegetables and healthy foods for your family that they may not be used to. And you'll see them slowly adapt. Like, it's always like interesting when my husband will ask for something or to not purchase anything anymore without telling him what he needs to do. And I'm sure I can speak for a lot of men in any household, because it's just how they work, is, doing your own thing, and your family over time slowly adapts. As they see making changes, as long, leave it on their terms. But that's worked for us. to the point where my husband's asking me to send him Shakeology right now. So, like there are wins that, are fun to see. And it's been, 4 years where he's had them off and on, but, it's like, okay, I need to eat healthy and, can you send me X, Y, and Z? So have you guys seen that as you've made changes? I know this is a little side topic, but have you seen changes within your family that are wins that are non-scale wins maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely, like the kids, it's hard. It's still hard with the kids because there's so much exposure outside of our home, with food choices that can be difficult, but they definitely are like, oh yeah, I don't really think that's probably a good choice. Or like Savannah asked me tonight, can you get me snacks that aren't fruit, but are still a good choice? So just still looking, trying to find things. So.
Yeah, I struggle with my husband. He, like the kids are with him and they want a snack. He just, whatever they want, they get. And so I've stopped allowing the chips to come in the house because that is one of our snacks that we love. And he'd just open the bag and give it to my daughter, and I'd come home from work and I'd be like, no, that's not what we do. That's that's for a special treat or whatever. So they don't even come in the house anymore. I don't let them.
Yeah. It's easier not to.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter had an issue in the beginning, but they really don't even ask for them anymore.
But I love that. I love that you said that it was not easy in the beginning because it's habits. My girls, like, same thing, they get used to something. TV is an example. Like, there was a point when I was very sick and they, pregnancy, and they got a lot of TV. My husband was deployed and that, saved us. And so as I started to wean that out, there was a lot of rebellion against it or, whatever. Now it's like they may get a show, here and there, and they do. They did today, but like, there's not as much of a pushback. Like, they're not used to it like they were before, where it'd be like an hour, sometimes 2 hours because I was just so sick, and the food is the same way. It becomes a habit that they're used to, and they don't understand too as a child, like, why not? It doesn't, and it's not affecting them right now. It will affect them in years, the habits that they're building. So it's hard for them, especially at a young age, to see that consequence of choices.
Right.
And so I love that, it's just on the house and still allowing them, like my girls love ice cream. And so, telling them it's a treat. It's okay to have an occasion, don't feel guilty about eating it, but we're not going to keep it in our house. And here are your options, because if they're hungry, they will eat something that's in the house. So survival, they have to.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or anything that anyone else wants to say or share?
I don't think so. Just take it one day at a time. And just for me, like I said, it was helpful to kind of ease into meal prep and not feel like I had to do everything all at once. So.
Well, and do you think by doing that approach, you've had more sustainability with your results?
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially with my personality, I would have walked away. I would have been like, this is too hard. It's not going to work. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. It would have been very difficult to continue on if I hadn't given myself grace for it and just taken it one day at a time and broke it down to what was manageable for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think, looking long-term, do you want to have results that you can achieve and sustain? Or do you want fast results in 30 days, get frustrated and burned out and quit? And we want to help you have those sustained results. And there's no race, so to speak. Like, this is a lifelong thing. We're still working on it. We still, have ups and downs. So definitely give yourself grace. I love that. So, all right, guys. Well, have a great night. I will upload this, and if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask or share, or tips that you have, feel free to share them in the group. I'm also going to try to grab those recipes as you guys share them, if you have them with a link, and put them in a folder too. I know Gina shared quite a few that I need to snag them out of the feed and put them in a folder for you guys. So, all right. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. You too.